Welcome to Nebraska Preps Postgame with Damon Benning and Jacob Padilla.
That's the big voice guy, which means I get another fantastic week. Just making small talk with my main man, Jacob Padilla, the best in the business when it comes to coverage statistically of NEB preps, the non-wavering opinions, and strong takes backed up with data. That's pretty good little summation, right?
I think that's fair.
Not a lot of speculation, right? Let's just go to the numbers. What do the numbers say? I also like that we watch a lot of different kinds of basketball too. So, because you know what I've been seeing lately, and this drives me crazy, and it's not just at the high school level, which is really bad, but it happens at the pro level and it happens at the collegiate level. All too often, you look at a stat line and you think, oh, this is a direct correlation of how, or you think you can interpret the play.
Well,
and it is
and it's a combination,
not the case.
And the other way, you'll see a kid hit a ridiculous fadeaway, and this kid's the best thing ever, and then he shoots 3 for 12 from the field, and it's like, that's kind of why I
do what you
this thing. Get a little bit of both. I'm watching there. I'm taking
like
mental notes. I got the box score down in my hand to see. All right, he's shooting 3 for 6 from 3 this game. All right, kid's shooting well. Let's see how this goes, and
it's
kind of balance it all out.
Because too often you'll see it. And I was watching the Lakers and Trailblazers last night as the Lakers came back from 25.
It's absurd box score.
But did you see the 40-20 in the third quarter? So I wanted to go to bed, but once it got to that point, I was like, I think I'm in this for the long haul. But I always like to see, because Russ is popular. He gets a lot of criticism, and there's a lot of guys like that. And I always like to see, like, is it leaky runouts? Is that how you're scoring? Are you cherry picking? Are you taking tough contested twos? People used to always get on me about, why do I like Kobe? And I'm like, there were lots of things that I liked other than his shot selection, high degree of difficulty. Well, he's not a good shooter. Well, he chooses to take difficult shots. I think he's better than his stats. Sometimes it's you just have. Anyway, my point is, sometimes you'll see a stat line where a guy goes for like, I don't know, 12 or 14 points, and they're like 4 layups because a ball gets outletted to him, or there's a turnover, or, and I'm just like, okay, like I like to kind of see what's going on and how they're getting points. So I appreciate why you do what you do.
So while we're on that Lakers Portland game, first quarter 33-26 Lakers. All right, got a lead. Second quarter 45-13 Blazers. How is that even possible? Then 40-20 Lakers, and then 35-21 Lakers in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
75-41.
You were down. You were down 71-46 at the half and 1 going away. That's the NBA. I like it. I know some people don't, right? But, and speaking of 13, I saw 13 and a half this week. Actually, I saw it on NFHS, but not live. Papio scoring 13 points at the half against Papio South.
Yeah.
I just... like some of those things, and we've seen some weird statistics. Who played in overtime last week, and they only scored 6 points in overtime? I think they had scored 8 points in the fourth quarter. Maybe it was Gretna and Prep. I can't remember. Or Lincoln East. Somebody got outscored 11-6 in overtime.
That might have been because that 1 by 1.
And I'm just thinking to myself, in a single-digit quarter, which we've started to see a little too often here. Just imagine if that was on par over 4 quarters.
Well, Miller North 11-4 in overtime against Prep there in the rematch of that one. So.
Hey, and we saw, was it Miller North that won 10-0? Outscored their opponent 10-0 in overtime too. So
it's a Lincoln Southeast game earlier in the year.
Note to self: don't go to overtime against Miller North. Indeed. As they found a way to split now on the season with Prep. How about Prep's schedule? So far,
been tough.
Gretna twice, Miller North twice. You played Bellevue West. You're going to play Westside tomorrow. That strength of schedule, and I told Coach Lukey last Friday. I feel like we say this once or twice a year for the last 3 years. but I do think this year may be his best coaching performance.
Yeah. We can dive in there. Prep at number 3 in Class A in the latest NEB Preps coaches poll. It's 11-5 sitting there despite 5 losses at number 3 because of the schedule and some of the wins they've had. And they lost that overtime rematch at Millard North on Tuesday. And man, that was a great game. I was at that one. It was back and forth the whole way. The final sequence in regulation leading to overtime. Millard North was up. Prep throws it into the backcourt. Mm-hmm. Derek Rollins hustles to try to get the steal and take it the other way. But because he touched it, Prep was able to go back and get it. And the other players hustle and knocked it free. Prep got it, pushed it ahead. Pete get it up to PJ Newell. He starts dribbling in, then pulls it out and kicks it. I have no idea if he knew what was on the clock or not, but he kicked it out to Joey Rischel, top of the key from the volleyball line, buried it. Prep goes up 2. They go back down. I think they called the timeout, run a play. Jacob Martin, who did not play in the first half, hit his first 4 shots in the second half once he got in there, scored 8 points, really important there. And then turned the corner, doing the dribble handoff thing. Great feed inside to Camden Money at the game of his life, and 1 to put Millard North back up by 1 going into the last possession here. And, well, not necessarily last possession, but last 20 seconds or so, whatever it was. Prep pushed in. Marquise Tolliver gets in there, gets inside his defender, and gets fouled. Misses the first. Millard North calls a timeout to ice him to set up the strategy or whatever. Comes back out, and Crichton knocks the second one down to get that thing tied. Throw it down. Skyland Williams gets a pretty decent look from the baseline. Little fadeaway jumper at the buzzer. Doesn't go down, so we're going to overtime. And back and forth over early in overtime. Then Derek Rollins gets an and 1 after he got stopped on his first 3 shots in overtime, I believe. Dylan Clausen was making it tough on him.
Boy, I like Clausen.
Got blocked, got it back, and put it back up for an and 1 to put them up 63-60. And then that started a 9-0 run for Prep. They got for Millard North to pull ahead 69-60, and then Prep got a layup at the end there. So great game back and forth. Again, Camden Money, 17 points, 7-10 shooting, 2 or 3 from 3. And I talked to one of their coaches and said, yeah, going in, I don't know that they necessarily count on 17 points, but they liked this matchup. And they were gonna give him chances early on, and he made the most of them.
That's one of the things that I like about Coach Ludke is it's typically something different, right? Like you can tell he does a good job with scout, and can play a couple of different ways because you saw them use a little bit more 5 out.
Yeah,
and I think that was by design, right? As you're kind of watching them play, and I like that. I like the ability to kind of play a different style based on what you're getting that given night, as opposed to this is what we do and we roll it out there every single game, because sometimes it's just the matchups aren't going to lend itself to being successful.
Yep. And so Prep fell in that one, but they bounced back shorthanded. They were without a few of their rotation players.
Central. We talked about that on Friday. A couple guys that had missed practice, and he made an executive decision for them to be spectators, and he did play shorthanded.
Yep, and they were up 42-30 going in the fourth quarter, and then Central made a comeback attempt there, got that thing down close, but Prep was able to hold on for the 48-44 win. So 1-1 week for Prep there at 3, and at Millard North after that Prep game, they had to hit the road, head down to the Quincy shootout, and they split their games there. It was a let's see, there's 87-83 loss against Bergen Catholic out of New Jersey. Really good team out there. They put up a heck of an effort. They had 25 from Derek Rollins going up against a team that had some real size in it. And then Neil Mossard, 25 as well.
Boy, is he streaky.
Yeah, he had a great week. He struggled in the Prep game, was 2 for 7 in that one, still scored 12 points, but battled back or bounced back. He had 27 in their second game out there as well. Made 7 threes as they beat Father Tolan out of Missouri 64-60. So I think pretty good trip for Millard North there to kind of get out of the state, take on some talented teams from out there, and then get 52 points in 2 games from Neil Mosser. That's pretty darn good. They're going to have a chance to win a lot of games if that happens.
Let me ask you something. If you're Lincoln or if you're Miller North, how are you? Are you still playing through Rollins, or are you working more outside in? Since Rollins is going to see some length. He's a different kind of post because he's a little smaller. He's big for those guys, but sometimes I don't know how much sustainability there is with the length that sometimes teams throw at him. And he's still just a sophomore.
Yeah, I think it's got to start there because he's been their most consistent player this season. Few down games again. You mentioned the length that at times bothering him, but for the most part, he's the guy that is doubles every other game. It seems like scoring 20 more often than not. He's having a really good season. So, and all those other guys, they've been up and down. I think you got to play through him, and then hopefully you can get some of those other guys going off of that action. You can get a post touch, kick it back out, maybe attack a closeout, something like that. Get other guys good opportunities that way. But that's how you got to start.
How did we not start with number 1, Bellevue West, who it seems like they were playing a ton early. Now it seems like they've kind of hit a little bit of a lull in their schedule.
One game last week, one game this week.
They kind of slowed down, which maybe for Coach Woodard, considering how early and often they were playing in December, maybe this is good, or he'd like to continue to stay in stride. I don't know. Tough to say.
Yeah, I think they'll probably hit another stretch heading into the postseason there to kind of ramp it back up. But yeah, regular season game of the year, 1 versus 2, Bellevue West against Gretna, and credit to Gretna. It was on Thursday night. They first team to take a fourth quarter lead against Bellevue West this season. They scored the first 3 points of the fourth quarter to pull ahead 41-39. And then Miller North hit him with a 14-2.
Bellevue West.
Keep going back to what we were just talking about. Bellevue West hit him with a 14-2 run, and that was ball game. So ended up being a 58-47 win for Bellevue West. So 15 wins, 15 double-digit wins, but that's the closest anybody's pushed them. And again, Gretna fourth quarter lead, they just could not quite generate enough offense to pull it off. And the key to the game was Elvin Turner, career high 18 points.
I like him a ton, but as you know, I always have.
Yeah. He's a guy that, you look at that as kind of the fifth starter out there. Point guard, but you got Josiah Dotsel out there that runs the point, so Turner's not necessarily on the ball that much. You've got other guys that are going to take more shots, but in this game, you only had 25 combined between 20
between Dotsler and Jackson.
27, I think, because I think Robbie Garcia only had 2 between their top 3 scores, their 3 double-digit scores. 27 when those 3 average over 40 combined, I think. So
Jeffrey, so Gretna has some versatility with what they can do in their front court, because Rossell he's such a difference maker in terms of his length and his activity. He makes life miserable for those tweener bigs.
Yeah, and Bellevue West didn't get a ton out of the front court. Jacob Arope had a really good third quarter coming off the bench. Again, Robbie Garcia didn't have his best game. Arope came in, scored all 6 of his points in the third quarter, all on offensive rebounds, where there was one point where he just straight up, I thought
bully.
Rossell had it, ripped it out of his hands, went back up for a putback.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
He got fouled on 2 other ones and hit all 4 of the free throws. Like, that was a really important period for him to kind of keep Bellevue West in it, as again, it was back and forth throughout the third quarter. But yeah, Turner, 18 points, 6 of 8 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3. The rest of the team shot a combined 2 for 18. And he was the catalyst for that kind of fourth quarter run where they took control of the game. He had 2 threes, had a block on Pekorski that led to a transition layup for Jaden Jackson. Got fouled on that point too and hit both the free throws. So scored 8 points in there and made a couple other plays. He found Jackson Stuvey for a layup during that stretch as well. Drive and dumped it off for cutting Stuvey. So
Stuvey could be a little bit of an X factor. I don't know how many X factors you need for a team that is clearly the best team in the state, but Stuvey has a little versatility because, as we've seen this year, he's starting to put the ball on the deck a little bit more, getting shots inside the paint, not just settling for shots behind the arc.
So yeah, Gretna gave itself a chance. They just you had Pekorski 21, but Bellevue West made him eat up a lot of possessions to get that 21. Alec Wilkins had 11 points, efficient there, but Jeff Roselle and Alex Wilcoxon combined for 5 points and 2 of 9 shooting. So they really rely. They've got 4 guys that provide the vast majority of their points, and you got to have all those guys going to win a game like that Bellevue West one. And credit to Gretna. The first quarter they had 7 turnovers as Bellevue West, their typical style, aggressive switching,
active
pressure.
hands.
Really gave them problems. They settled in the second, third quarters there and found a way to take advantage of the aggressiveness to get driving lanes to go to the rim. They found a way to get some points there, and obviously, again, they took the leads. But 2 for 10 from 3 as a team. Again, Bellevue West doesn't give up many good looks from 3, and you're going to have to hit some. Like Elvin Turner himself hit 4 of them. So
I feel like we've talked about that a ton with them. I think it's overlooked.
Yeah,
their ability to defend the arc.
Yeah, that makes the math problem really hard. Like typically you see like teams upset a lot of time. It comes down to shooting variance and one team shooting better than the others. Well, Bellevue West minimizes that by they're always going to get more 3-point attempts than you. So even if they have an off day, they're probably still going to score more from the line than you are. But Gretna bounced back, 62-49 win against Millard South, 18 for Pekorski, and then a 14-10 double-double for Jeff Roselle. Again, that's a big key for them. 6-19 from 3, but they got some interior production to go to balance that out. So they're sitting there at 11-2 and got a little lighter slate this week. They play Millard West on Tuesday and Omaha Northwest on Friday. Bellevue West, another 1-game week. They go to Omaha Central on Tuesday.
Yeah, a lot of games tomorrow, which I kind of like. Millard North, Bellevue East, West Side Prep. We just referenced Bellevue West. I don't mind those Tuesday night tilts. I've kind of become a Tuesday, Thursday guy. I don't know how it fits your schedule, but
it's nice having the options Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because then I can kind of pick when Nebraska
and your
doesn't have
collegiate,
your
collegiate coverage.
So balances things out, gives me a chance to get a couple of games a week at least. But you mentioned West Side there at number 4, 11-3 now. They go to Prep on Tuesday and then to Papio South on Saturday, and they're coming off a 1-game week as well. 67-55.
2 games in 11 days.
Yeah, for
West Side.
Yeah. Again, it's a lighter part of their schedule. 67-55 win against Papillion La Vista. I guess probably the most noteworthy part is that Ricky Lofton, transfer from Omaha South, who tore his ACL during their district game last year. Played his first game since then. 4 points, 4 rebounds. Obviously, long way to go to get back to where he was, but good to just see him start that process to get back on the court. He's been warming up with guys for a while now. I know he's starting to do some stuff in practice, so good to see him.
It seemed early in my head in terms of clearance, but he was so good the last month in practice and moving around. He looked like he was playing with some confidence in terms of cutting and moving, and I was like, he may be ahead of schedule, I think. But it was tough. I think sledding against Papio. He had a couple bunnies early, just getting his feel, right? We've talked for so many guys that spend a lot of time not playing and then all of a sudden thrust out there. And he was the second off the bench too. So, he played early in the first quarter. And I think Coach Simons is really trying to get him involved because he helps you defensively. He gives you some athleticism on the wing. But still a work in progress with that knee.
And got about a month left to get him ready for the postseason, so hopefully he can make some progress there. CJ Mitchell, 15 points, 7 assists, a good showing for him. Again, that's kind of the same deal. He's a long way ahead, but coming off the injury.
Four consecutive
good possession.
4 consecutive layups in a row. 2 played the passing lane well, had 2 deflections, got 2 easy layups. They had a nice look ahead from Kevin Brown off a scramble loose ball. When he's active defensively, I think it really helps his offensive game because then they can get into transition.
Yep. So at 6 is Lincoln East kind of hanging around there at 9-3.
Yeah.
They another one beat Lincoln Northeast 60-55, and Again, it's either Carter Templemeyer, Carter Mick. This time it was Mick, 25 points. Really efficient, 9-18 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3. And they got a double-double from Christian Melessa, 12 points, 14 rebounds, which is big for them. Like if you get some interior production to balance out what you get from the perimeter, he's not really a big, but he's the biggest they have that with real varsity experience.
Yeah,
So
kind of like Rollins at Miller North, right?
So good game for him. And now this week they go to Lincoln Southeast on Tuesday, to Lincoln Southwest on Friday, and then host Elkhorn South on Saturday. So big week for the Spartans there. 3 tough tests there.
Huge, because Southwest and Elkhorn South both firmly sitting in the top 10. I mean, now Southwest has a few head-scratching losses, but their schedule has been tough, I think, for the Silverhawks.
Well, and one of those losses, new entry to the top 10 at number 7 there after 4 straight wins, Lincoln Pius the 10th at 11-5. They beat Southwest 57-53.
Yep.
Held Southwest at 4-19 from 3 and forced 14 turnovers. And they followed up with a 59-48 win at Grand Island. And Trayson Anderson's kind of finding his
coming
the
along
main option, and they're just trying to get some consistent production outside of him. Again, outside Jackson Kessler's the only one that had played varsity really before this year, in terms of a significant role. So, but that's credit to Adam Brill, new coach there.
Yeah, I like
those guys in.
And he's kind of a natural, used to that, being on that bench, and I still like the way they play. Now, they don't have a ton of offensive weapons, but haven't seen them live a couple times. Was at Pius a couple Saturdays ago. I kind of like the way that they play, but I think you hit the nail on the head. Playing through Anderson and him not settling for playing on the perimeter, giving them some interior toughness and cleaning up the back end too, I think will be key for them. And he's a handful inside the blocks, and he just sometimes he's perimeter oriented at times, but when he's getting paint touches, he's either getting fouled or he's scoring.
And big test on Tuesday as they host Omaha Skutt. Not going to be so easy to go to work in the paint against a team with
very long.
Yeah. Got a guy that can match up with them, and Jake Brack and 3 other big dudes, 6'6" or taller, that they can throw out there and make life difficult. So that'll be a big test for them. And it's their only game this week. So a lot of they can really settle in and focus on coming up with a good game plan.
Tuesday's a good night.
Yep.
Very good night.
Southwest, they lost that game, but they won their other 2. Man, crazy game against Papio South. Was 38-all heading in the third quarter, and then Southwest won the fourth 29-26 to win the game. Chuck Love had 22. He had a really good week. Braden Frager 13, Lucas Helms 10. But listen to this. Bryson Ball, 37 points, 11 of 22 from the field, 9 of 17 from 3, 6 of 6 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, and 3 steals. Yeah. You'd be hard pressed to find a better stat line in a loss this season.
Yeah, 9 of 17 from 3, but 17 of the 22 field goal attempts were from behind the arc,
and that's the thing with Papio South. They still, if threes aren't falling, if they don't have those role players around them hitting shots, they just struggle so much to score the ball. They just don't have a consistent interior scoring option at this point. But the Southwest won that game 23-26 from the free throw line. That was the ball game right there.
It's a couple weeks in a row too. We've talked about Frager maybe kind of settling in with his role with that team because they have so many different pieces, right? So kind of coming like, where do I fit in? What's my game? I know I'm a top level athlete. How does that fit with Ryland Smith, Chuck Love, some guys like that? Because I think we agree. Well, maybe we don't. I don't want to speak for you. They have, of the teams in Lincoln, they have the most pieces.
I think Southeast probably is a little deeper, but in terms of
I don't know.
You cut down the rotation to just like the top 7, 8. Then I think Southwest has an argument there. I think there are more guys that you could put out there for Southeast at this point that could potentially impact the game.
Bengat and Chewy. I don't know
who led them in their overtime win against Lincoln High out of nowhere. Not one of their
But that just seems kind of, and maybe that speaks to your depth. But I don't know. I look at consistency, like in crunch time, like if I had to get a scouting report, and I see 4 guys, I think, for Southwest that I may have to put an X by, and I think I see 3 in the situational rotation for Southeast. That's kind of the difference for me. And is Southeast playing through Boss?
Yeah, I think, Southwest probably their guys have been more consistent. I think Southeast, in terms of potential, like there are guys that could. And I think they're trying to figure that out. And they've won 2 of their last 3, I think, to get up to 8-6.
How about that round robin schedule in Lincoln?
Jeez, crazy. But talk about Frager again. Chuck Love had 22 in that Papio South game, led them with 18 in that Pius game. Just didn't get much help. Lucas Helms had 12. Nobody else scored more than 8. And then finished the week with a 78-36 win against Fremont. And competition notwithstanding, school record 35 points for Love on 12 of 16 shooting, with 6 of 9 from 3 and 5 of 6 from the line. So pretty darn efficient. You still got to be able to hit the shots. It wasn't like he was just getting layup after layup.
Right.
So great.
Fremont's so undersized.
Yeah.
Well, but Love shot it well this week.
Yeah, and I don't think Jane Cassio Jensen played either, so that hurts. But yeah, so
it's a lot of pressure on Corian. That's just kind of the key cog for Fremont.
He had 20. Nobody else had more than 4. So yep. So that's Southwest. They go to, or they host Lincoln East on Friday this week. Their only game this week. And then Elkhorn South still there at 9. Lincoln High at 10.
A good one.
10-5, despite that Southeast loss
this week for Elkhorn South. Millard North goes to Elkhorn South.
Shout out to my guy Gavin Hornbacher. Got the cast off, got back out there after the broken arm. Good to see him kind of working his way back. And then North Star and Southeast are the teams receiving votes. North Star 9-4 had a game winner from Brennan Clemens from half court.
Gosh, is he getting it going?
He's had a good season. And Antala San Leonel has been up and down, but he had a really good game at 26 in one of their wins last week.
A healthy Brennan Clemens seems to be a good Brennan Clemens.
Yes. And so North Star lost on the Rylan Smith.
Yeah, the game winner. Yeah.
And then Brennan tweeted at Rylan, is like, feels a lot better to be on this side, this end of it.
Yeah, because they play together in the summer, and we didn't have to debate whether you're getting screens from officials or not.
Yeah. Nope, they got out of the way. Good hustle there. So that's your top 10 in Class A. Class B, we mentioned Scott. They're at number 1. They go to Pius, and they host Omaha Central on Friday. So an all Class A week for the Skyhawks, and Scott took care of business, won the River City Conference tournament, 81-45 against Gross, 89-57 against South Sioux City. So just kind of plugging along there. Platteview at number 2 still, despite 52-42 loss to Abraham Lincoln on Saturday at the Nebraska Prep Classic. Yeah, that was a heck of a game down the stretch. They almost pulled off the win.
Let me ask you something real quick. When's the last time that you've seen, not in the NBA, that you've seen an intentionally missed free throw executed correctly?
Well, the craziest thing about that is he didn't execute it correctly the first time. So backtrack here. Down
4. Yeah. No, 3 or 4.
So it was down 3. And Abraham Lincoln fouled them. Fouled Milliken instead of giving him a chance to put up with 5.7, I believe, something 6.1, I think it was. So it goes and makes the first, which you got to do. Second one, rushed it, chucked it off the backboard, no rim, but they called a lane violation.
And he got it off the front rim the second time, and it came right back to him.
Yeah, one of the best. Like, it's really hard to hit that rim that hard and have it come back directly to you.
And he got the timeout.
Yeah. So, and they got a good look. So Milliken had 32 and 16, I think it was. And so on the inbounds play, he drew 2 defenders, left Ezra Stewart wide open, and kicked it out. Got a good look from 3, just didn't fall. Milliken got the rebound. I don't think he was aware of how much time he had.
Kind of rushed it,
caught it, and then tried to push it right back up without gathering himself, and put it up short.
Didn't draw
a little bit more time. So that's how they lost. Although even before that, Milliken goes down and one, has a chance to tie it. The free throw rims out. They foul Matthew Mathock for Abraham Lincoln, who 0 of 5 from the free throw line at that point. They foul him on the rebound, marched down there, calmly knocked down both of them. 2 big hits for a kid that had struggled from the line all game. He had a bunch of rebounds in that game. Didn't score very much. I think he only had 6 points, but those are 2 really big ones.
Wasn't I sitting next to you in the summer watching AL and Westside?
Over at the
we're at
Summer League, yeah.
And I think we kind of thought AL could be pretty good.
Yeah,
I actually think that would have been a really good win for Platteview.
Yeah, and Cole Arnold got in some foul trouble. He's a talented player for them, junior, and their point guard
savvy back. Yes,
he had a really good score. 21, hit 7 free throws.
He's tough.
Yeah,
doesn't turn the ball over either.
Yeah, so. It's a good. They had multiple chances there, just couldn't quite pull it off. But there's no shame in that loss for Platteview.
Completely agree.
Especially right now that they're a little banged up. Ryman Ziebert, their only guy that plays legitimate rotation minutes. Yeah, over 6'1". Was in street clothes. Got banged up last week, so they were without him against a big team. So tough matchup there, but they've got their conference tournament this week. Bennington beat Norris. I was at that game on Friday. Just seniors against freshmen and sophomores is all that was. Norris, they pulled off an impressive win last week, but with Chris Garner Jr. 20 and 13, I believe, in that game. Just couldn't get enough help for him against Bennington, and then Bennington lost to Concordia.
Yeah, C1 Concordia, but Concordia's, man, I think they're pretty good.
Yeah,
I do.
They're 13-1. So
and I know people sometimes look at their schedule, but I feel like we said that last year, and they just keep. That's a good basketball team.
Yeah. 60-50 for Concordia in that one. It was 1-point game heading into the fourth, and then Concordia put up 25 in the fourth quarter to win that.
And I think there's only 3 or 4 losses among the top 4 in C1.
Yeah, if you
right.
So number 1 is Ogallala at 16-0.
Undefeated.
Wahoo is
1 loss.
2 at 13-1. Ashland Greenwood at 3
1
at
loss.
13-1. Concordia 4 at 13-1. Pierce suffered their second loss last week.
There it is.
51-35 against C2 Norfolk Catholic, and then Central City at 6, 14-1. Pretty good. Again, we talked about how good C1 was last year, and with so many guys graduating, we were wondering probably going to fall off, but it's looking like once again it's really strong at the top in C1.
So how many years in a row would this be where C1 is probably the most competitive? I feel like we say that a lot.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And this is without talking about Auburn this year.
Yeah, who's solid. They're not what they have been, but they're still going to be a tough out on any given night. So yeah, C1 should be fun again. Crete also took their second loss. They went to Elkhorn last week. They're still at number 4 in B. Beat Seward and then lost to Elkhorn. And that was Elkhorn getting out to a lead early and then holding on 36-25 after 3. An Elkhorn team that is as up and down as any team in Class B.
It's all about their offense, though.
Yeah.
Are they going to break the 45-point mark? I think it's kind of the thing.
48-41 was the final in that one. So Elkhorn climbed at number 7 at 9-7. York, that's who Norris beat 48-50. And then they bounced back to beat Fairbury, but then they lost to North Platte. So they're sitting there at 9-4. Roncalli 10-5 is at 6. South Sioux City climbed in at number 8 after their runner-up finish in River Cities. Manny Paul is having a great year for them. And
he comes up every week now.
Waverly at 9, Mount Michael at 10, despite, again, you got 8-5, 9-6, 8-6, 9-7, 10-5, the bottom half of Class B. So not quite the top
shake
end.
them up.
Exactly. It's all kinds of bouncing around there. So, it's where we're at. Wanted to shout out O'Neill this week. Drew Morrow, 34 points, 13 of 18 from the field, 8 of 12 from 3, which is their school record. Next game, Landon Klassen, 32 points, 11 of 14 from 3, 8 of 11 of 14 from the field, 8 of 9 from 3. So how many? I can't think that's got to be pretty rare where you have one school have 2 kids hit 8 threes in a game in the same week.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. So that's great week for Johnny Pules from Lincoln Lutheran. who had
One
47
hitting
points.
8.
Yeah. 2. Yeah.
It would be amazing.
Yeah. 47 points and 9 rebounds, 5 steals. I combined between his 2 games for Johnny Pules for Lincoln Lutheran, and Gavin Nash from Deschler Senior, 32 points, 10 rebounds, and a steal and a win against Harvard. So some of the shout outs this week.
Yeah, well, that's complete. It's comprehensive. That's a ton of fun because we like doing it because we love high school. That's Jacob Padilla. I'm ODB. Nebraska Preps Postgame. We'll be back next week. Don't miss us.
A Hurrdat Sports Network production.